to the disciples class. Sorry for the network interruption. Welcome to the disciples class. We are taking the third lesson on leadership studies. This class is both for the Faith Bible July College and the Christ Disciples Institute. So the students can take the same course on this particular course on leadership studies or understanding leadership as it were. All right, so we begin by saying that this course is aimed at helping students understand what leadership generally implies and help them learn how they can effectively be leaders both in the church and in the society at large. It gives you a foundational understanding on leadership. You can read wide about leadership, but this one is to focus you and make you focus on leadership as it has to do with the ministry and can also be applied in your everyday life. Remember, leadership is everything and everything is leadership. All right, today we are taking lesson 3, leadership styles. Leadership styles. Now, before studying the various types of leadership styles, looking at the various types of styles in leadership, it is necessary to understand once again that leadership itself is not just about position or your title or your age. Leadership is the ability, take note of that word, to influence, guide, and inspire others towards a desired purpose. Now, leadership is an important subject in every area of life. That's why I always say leadership is everything and everything is leadership. Why am I saying that? Because in every group or organization or whatever setup you need in life or you have in life, there is always a place for leadership, whether it is family, school, church, business, government, the society at large, even your own self. That's why we have a course called self-leadership. Even your own self. Leadership is part and parcel of our lives. You see, every group or organization needs someone that will guide, influence, direct, and inspire others towards a common goal. There's always that need. Now, most people believe that sometimes there could be leadership without anybody being tagged as the leader. And that is where we bring out some of the styles of leadership that will point us to that kind of leadership. All right, so leaders do not just lead the same way. Every leader leads in different ways. And there are so many things that will determine the kind of leader a leader could be. It can be the kind of philosophy of life he has, his kind of personality, his experiences in life. All this plays one role or the other when it comes to the kind of leader he will be. So leaders do not all lead in the same way. Different leaders lead, using different methods, having different attitude towards leadership and different approach in dealing with people and in dealing with responsibilities. I am saying that, number one, leadership is needed in every aspect of our life. Family, school, church, business, government, society. I'm also saying that everybody on every organization needs leadership. All right, and I said I'm going to point out in a situation where we cannot say this person is actually leader, but leadership is still there. Now, these different approaches, these different methods, these different ways someone can lead others or influence others towards achieving a specified or a common goal is what we call the leadership styles. We're going to look at that properly. Now, the study of leadership styles helps us to understand how leaders make decisions, how they communicate with their followers, how they solve problems, how they motivate people, and how they achieve their goals or their organizational goals. Some leaders, are very strict. Some are very authoritative. Some, allow others to participate, like democratically. Some are servant oriented. Now, these are their various ways or styles or methods or strategies through which they can give leadership, whether to a large group or a small group. All right. Now, each style has their own advantages and disadvantages, or strengths and weaknesses. And the effectiveness of a style often depends on the situation, the people involved, and the goal to be achieved. So a style will be effective here, but not effective here. Why? It depends on the situation at hand. It depends on the people that we are leading. It depends on the kind of goal we intend to achieve. Now, in this lesson, we will examine leadership styles. That is why this course is all about leadership styles. Look at their advantages and disadvantages, look at their characteristics, and see how we can apply them to our everyday life, in everyday kind of situation. All right? In our modern time, how can we do that? All right. Having said that, let us give some kind of meaning to leadership style in a way that we'll understand it better. Now, understanding leadership style is very important because it helps you, the leader, to become a better leader. It helps every individual to be a better kind of leader. If I want to be a leader, I want to be a good leader. Now, if I understand the different styles of leadership, it will help me to know what to do per time in the process of leading. And that will determine whether I'm going to be a good leader or a bad leader. In fact, it's a very important dynamics of leadership that we have learned in the previous lesson. So, having understood that, as we have said earlier, different leaders use different methods, and these methods or different styles is what we call leadership style. By way of defining it, we will say a leadership style is the leader's strategy, method, or technique of providing direction. His strategy, his method, his technique of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. Now, whichever style I use to do that is my leadership style. Somebody can say, I don't like this man's style of leadership. I don't like the way he leads people. I don't like his approach to leadership. Now, whatever style, strategy, method I use is my leadership style. It is the particular way that a person leads, guides, and influences others. Remember, it is towards a common goal or towards achieving any goal. Now, this includes how the leader makes decision, how he communicates decision, how he solves problem, and how he relates with the people he leads, like I have already stated. So, by definition, you will say leadership style is the leader's strategy, method, or technique of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. Or, simply put, you can say a leadership style is a leader's approach to leadership. How a leader leads. How a leader chooses to carry out his responsibilities as a leader. Now, let us look at some of the common leadership styles. There are so many kinds, and some of them can, run over each other. Some, while you are trying to explain this, you see this one in this one, you see this one in this one, but want to just bring them out, and then you can have an understanding about 9 of them. Now you can get more. There are so many styles. You can even create your own style. So let's look at some of the common styles of leadership. Number one, we have the autocratic or authoritarian style of leadership. Now, this is a kind of leadership where the leader is the first and the last. He is the almighty, as it were. It is where orders are given and everybody obeys. It's a leadership style where all decision-making power are centralized on the leader, just like a king, just like the commander in the army. All right? Where he says the final thing. The Bible says where the word of the king is, there is power. And no one asks him, why did you say this? Why did you say that? So it is simply the leader makes decision alone, have strict control of everything, and gives all instructions that must be followed. Now, this is a style of leadership. It's a style. And even if you're not a military man, you're not autocratic by nature, you can use this style sometimes. Now, where you determine, you do not entertain suggestions. There is no room for suggestion. So people are not to give you advice and tell you, do like this or do the other way around. Even in the military, there could be other types of leadership apart from the autocratic or authoritarian style. All right. So this style is good, especially during emergency situation, though it discourages teamwork and creativity. Sometimes as a leader, there's no time for meeting. Maybe there's war, like in Ukraine. The president has been in power for beyond his tenure because there's no time for election and other things. All right, there's no proper parliament meet. Let us discuss it. If there will be a discussion, you have to take fast decisions. Sometimes you have to take decisions. You don't have time to have people gather to discuss anything. In such situation, this is a better form of leadership that you can use. Let's say there's a decision that is supposed to be taken now, and you are trying to say, let the committee gather and let us sit down and discuss it and hear everybody's opinion. By the time you get everybody's idea and suggestions, what will happen has happened. So someone has to take decision immediately, and that is where the leader do not need to. They call it veto power. The leader takes that veto, takes that initiative to do what he has to do. But like I said, if you use this method consistently, it will create some problem because there will be no room for teamwork, and it will discourage creativity and other forms of ideas that would have helped the organization. So it is not something that you need to be using every time. The next one is the participative or democratic style of leadership. Now, sometimes it is called shared leadership. It's a form of leadership where the leader works with the team members, allowing them to participate in decision making. This style encourages cooperation and sharing of ideas. All right. Now, in our democratic society, like we call it, we have election. We want to have a president, everybody will vote. We want to decide, we'll take this tax or the other one, it will take it to the parliament. People will sit down and talk about it, discuss. They can say we don't want it or we want it. Everybody participates, everybody suggests, everybody brings an idea, and sometimes majority carries the vote. We are able to say, okay, this is the way we're going to go. So the leader simply signs it. All right. Now, at the end of the day, it is we that have decided this, even though the leader is there to execute or to implement what we have all agreed upon. This kind of leadership often builds trust and motivation. It could be also abused if it is not properly supervised. All right. In the name of democracy, a lot of things can happen that are not proper. So it should be properly supervised and used when it is very essential, and there's enough time for people to bring all kind of ideas. You can use it both in church, family, and everywhere. All right. We have family leadership. All right. Then we have the one we call the laissez-faire or free reign leadership. Now, this kind of leadership is leadership where, the leader allows people freedom to work independently. Some people take it to be where everybody is free to do whatever they want to do. But it's not as bad as that. It is usually used when the people have, some special style of doing it. Everybody in the organization, on the team, are specialists. They know what to do. All right? Everybody knows what to do. So the leader allows them to take decisions and decide what to do and do it because everybody knows what to do. Let's say we have an organization where we have medical department, we have the engineering department, we have the the educational department. We have one teacher, one doctor, one engineer, and there are works we need to do in all these areas. The leader doesn't need to do a lot of things. Just allow them. They know what to do. They know how to handle it, and they go ahead to do it. For example, if in a democratic society too, like ours, where the president appoints ministers. Now they have minister for education, we have minister for works and housing, we have minister for health, we have minister for youth and sports, we have minister for environment, we have minister for electricity or power, and all of them are specialists. All of them are well trained. All of them are technicians. Technocrats. My brother will say technocrats. Special, those who are well trained in that area, they know what to do. The president may not even know anything about all these areas. So he allows them to take decisions and do what is best for the people. So that is where it comes. Now, most times, it is also this kind of leadership where there can be something going on, but there's no one person saying that I am the leader. Everybody knows what to do. It is a form of leadership I call the ants form of leadership. Ant, ant. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 6:6-8, it says, go to the ant, you lazy one. Excuse me. Observe his ways and become wise. Without leader, without administrator or ruler, it prepares provision in summer. It gathers its food during harvest. So you cannot say this is the leader of these ants, but everybody in the group knows what to do. The workers, the builders, everybody do your thing. There's no one person who said, I'm in control, but we know what to do and everybody does what they have to do. So there is leadership, and there may not necessarily be one person who is necessarily in charge. So everybody is free to do what they have to do, but they all know our common goal. They all know what they ought to achieve, and they all put their heads together to achieve it together. There's one tribe in Nigeria, they call them the Igbo. Originally, they say they don't have king. They don't have anybody who is said and who is their king. That's why even today, their own kind of kingship is like, elected. They do like election, appointment, and all that. It's not like the one that you inherit. And I know that some people have developed their own to that point. So it's also good, especially when everybody knows what to do. But when people don't know what they do, it becomes bad. That is why the Bible says, in those days in the land of Israel, they had no king, and everybody did what they wanted. And before you know it, the whole land was in chaos. The whole land was in confusion. All right? So, because that time is not the time to apply this kind of leadership. People don't know what they're doing. They are just like that. So you need leader in that kind of situation. The next one is what we call transformational style of leadership. Now, this kind of leadership is where the leader inspires, motivates, and influences people to achieve extraordinary goals, while also helping them grow personally and professionally. In this kind of leadership, while I am being led and I'm working under this leadership, I am developing myself. I am becoming a better person. I'm knowing better things that I wouldn't have known if I have not been in that team. All right? So my life is changed. My life is transformed as a result of my being in that particular leadership. So in this leadership, team members are encouraged to think creatively and to solve problems innovatively. The leader cares about the welfare, the needs, and the growth of each member. He leads by example, demonstrating integrity, discipline, and commitment. Now, if you are in such place and a leader is using this style, he is not just interested in what you can give to the company or to the church or to the whatever. He is interested also in your being a better person in the process of the work you do. I remember when I was elected in our campus fellowship to be the technical manager of the fellowship or equipment manager. Then, because of that appointment, we have the president who is in charge of everybody. But I was in charge of those technical things. And somehow, initially, I was just the only one doing the work. But I need to know how to do them. It was from there I learned how to, you put on the generator and power the entire house without having a special cutter for the house. It is from there I also learned how to repair most electrical gadgets. It was from there I learned a lot of things in the process of carrying out my duty. All right. So I am in the team. We have a leader. I am in the team, but my activities exposed me to learning a lot of things that I still use till today after so many years. There are many places I have worked, and then I have learned a lot of things from working there. Sometimes if there's a church you belong to, and because of your being that church, it has changed your way of talking, your way of dressing, your way of doing things. While you are working together to see that that church does well, your life is also being transformed. You become a special kind of person. It's as if you have attended university, especially if that church is programmed in a way where the members are not only, the workers of the church are not only just used to work, but their lives are also improved in the process. However, this style of leadership can fail if the vision is not clear, if it's not well done and combined with other appropriate leadership styles. It can make people to depend so much on the leader's personality. What do I mean by that? You see some places where everybody seems to be copying the leader. If the leader puts his shirt and put bow tie, everybody puts bow tie. Everybody starts to talk like the leader. Everybody behaves like the leader. Everything the leader does, everybody. They have changed though, but their changing is to become like the man. Their tone. There's one pastor. The way he preaches, almost all his pastors preaches the same way. One day I was listening to one of them on radio, and I couldn't tell if it was the main pastor or his assistant pastor that was preaching. Everything was the same way he behaves. And most of the church members that I know, they act like him. Now, if you do that so much, the people will lose their own ingenuity. They will not be able to develop their own person. They will turn out to become another person. So you must make sure that while I'm thinking about your transformation, I don't want you to transform to become like me. I want you to transform to be a better version of yourself. All right? The next one is transactional leadership. This is a leadership style that is based on reward and punishment. I reward you if you do what I want very well, and I punish you or discipline you if you do not do what I want. So there is something to gain if you work very well. That's transactional leadership. Just like this one we call commission. The banks, they get some people that will go around to go and get customers. If you're able to get customers, this is what you gain. If you're not able to get enough customers, you don't gain anything. So you see everybody struggling because your reward determines your activities, how much you are able to achieve will determine your reward. Now, the good thing is that people work hard so much to make sure that things are done because of the reward. Even the Bible tells us that when Jesus Christ saw the glory that is ahead, he endured the cross. And the Bible says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. So most times people endure certain things because of the benefit that is at the other end. So simply, it is based on rules, rewards, and discipline. And it's very common in a well-structured organizations. The leader establishes the policy, the procedure, and the expectations. And the followers, they work hard, to be successful so that they can get the reward. And if they don't get the reward, they get punished. Now, what is the punishment? You don't get any reward. Your salary is cut. If you don't behave well, it affects you. There is promotion. There is award. The best staff of the year, the best this of the year. All this, everybody is trying his best to become the best. At least first, second, third. So it's transactional. The better I do, the better I get. Emphasis is placed on productivity and meeting targets. Now, followers in this type of organization are closely monitored to ensure that everybody complies to the rules and the policies of the establishment. Then number 6 is what I call spiritual leadership style. Now, this one is not the other kind of spiritual leadership we learned. This one is spiritual leadership that has to do with the religious setting. When you have the pastor, the pastoral leadership, the pastor is the leader of the congregation. What kind of leadership style can he use? Apart from these other things we have learned that he can also use, this one is different in the sense that he influences people to, build spiritual values, to have moral character, to have faith in God, to have vision, to serve. That's ministry. Now, the leader focuses on guiding the people towards attaining spiritual goals, purposes, and then by the fear of God, they always install the fear of God in them, so that by the fear of God, the members or the followers, they live righteously, they live with integrity, they live with honesty because they have the fear of God. Now, when I say fear of God in this aspect, I'm not necessarily talking about just the respect for God, but the fear of judgment. If I do this, hell. If I do that, heaven. So people try their best to, it affects a lot of things about their life. They think of the spiritual value. They think of the reward that God will give them. See, the reward transaction has also come into it. But this one is mainly in a religious setting, not just the church. Every religious group they make people to act and live according to the vision and the mandate of their ministry. Now, because the leader to try to show in quote the compassion of Christ, he leads by moral example, wisdom, the faith, and the compassion of Christ, as it were. He builds trust, and the people seem to be united because they have one doctrine, one faith, one God, one baptism. So see that unity. There is peace, there is cooperation, there is a strong development of good character among the people where it is properly used. However, some followers can also become so dependent on the leader, and that they become so foolish that the leaders can even tell them to eat grass and they will eat because of the spiritual benefit. The leader can tell them to. You saw what happened in South Africa some years back and other countries, where some places pastors will tell them to lie down and you work on them and all kinds of things. Everybody try to do that. Man of God, man of God, man of God, man of God, touch not another and do a prophet no harm. And because of that, when this kind of leadership is abused, the people suffer dearly. It has caused a lot of problem in the society when this type of leadership is abused. But when it is properly used in the fear of God, in the reverence of God, and in the, fear, literal fear of God, and the other one, a reverence for God, you see the society becomes a better place. People's character changes. There is less adultery, there is less fornication, there is less robbery, there is less, all kinds of social vices are reduced to the greatest minimum, because majority of people that go to the church are being taught the word of God and are giving spiritual guidance which make them to behave well. So there is this strong character development that we can find among the followers. All right. But this method cannot necessarily work in the secular society where, the people don't believe in your God, or when there's different kinds of belief system. Some people believe that if you do good, heaven; if you do bad, hell. Why some Christians don't believe that is your goodness or your badness is not what determines your heaven or your hell, as it were. So when there is different belief, then it may not work. Two cannot work together except they be in agreement. Then the next one is situational leadership style. In this style of leadership, the leader adopts the leadership method that is needed depending on the situation at hand. All right, the type of task to be done and the level of maturity of the followers. This means the style of leadership that depends on situation and circumstance. It is simply when the music changes to war song, the dance changes to war dance. So if we are doing something like this and there's an emergency, we have to use what? A leadership style that is needed for that emergency. We have plenty of time to look into a matter, view another leadership style that will be needed. Anybody can even be a leader depending on their ability, depending on what they can do. Let's say, for instance, we are driving, all right? We are driving, and then I am the leader of the group, and we are going for a conference, and we are using our bus, but I don't know how to drive. Well, somebody there knows how to drive, he becomes the driver. But we don't really know how to read the map. Another person becomes our leader in map reading. The situation determines how we go. He decides, well, let's go left, let's go right, let's go forward, let's stop a bit, because if we move at this time, because of the distance, we may slip on the way in a dangerous place. So let's stay at a good place where we can have good rest and continue tomorrow. So the situation determines the kind of leadership style that we use, and the situation determines the person who will take the charge of reign at that particular time. So it depends on the people, it depends on the situation, it depends on their abilities. So a good situational leader knows when to direct, he knows when to coach, he knows when to support, and he knows when to delegate duties. Like I said before, it is when the music have changed to war song, the dance have to change to war dance. I remember a man, he was in his house and his friend called him my brother. The music have changed to war dance, to war song. He said, my brother, in that case, we have to change our dance to war dance. All right? If you're in the military, you know what they call quick march and slow march. Now the commander gives the order for quick march. Everybody's moving fast, and the music is louder. I don't want to sing the music. They sing the band plays, and they do wah 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 wah, they very fast. And then when they go to slow march, sometimes they go from slow march to quick march. Now it depends. If they are doing quick march and you are doing slow march, if they are doing slow march and you are doing quick march, and sometimes it's not even quick march and slow march. There's some kind of marching that now goes into, especially when they want to do some ceremonies and demonstration. You see, they move this way, some move left, some move right, some do that. All kinds of, they need to change into different shapes. Even those who fly in the Air Force, they do all kinds of designs. Now, all depends on the situation and how to do things. All right. There's a lot of things you can know about that. So this can confuse followers if it is always used. Every time we change, every time we change, every time we change. It should be when it is necessary, not just changing from time to time. And then most times, if we don't know our people very well, we may misjudge them and put a round peg in a square hole. There are some countries where they appoint a medical doctor to become Minister of Education, and he doesn't know anything about education. They appoint somebody who studied engineering to become Minister of Women Affairs. Appoint somebody who studied agriculture to become Minister of Power. You can imagine. You can imagine what kind of thing that will happen. That's why some countries are in disarray, because the appointment is based on favoritism. That is not too good. So we have to make sure that we know our people very well and know when to delegate, when to coach them to prepare them for something, or when to support someone to do what he has to do. All right. Now, let's look at the number 8, task-oriented style. Now, in this style, the leader focuses on the task that need to be performed in order to meet a certain production goal. Now, task-oriented leaders are generally more concerned with producing a step-by-step solution for a given problem or goal, strictly making sure that they meet up with the deadline, the result, and reaching their targeted outcome. In this kind of leadership, the leaders are typically less concerned with the ideas of catering for the group. We are not interested in people who just want the work to be done. To keep our country one is a must that must be done. Whether the people agree to be one or not, they must be one. There's one country where they had to go to civil war. They said the military man who was the head of state, he said he want to make the country one. And the other man, they call him a rebel, they say he want to divide the country. Everybody must be one. No victor, no vanquish. This country must be one. But in reality, they behave like people who are not one. So if we are to be one, why don't we become one? But instead of being one, you are forcing people to be one just to achieve the goal that, we have more people, our population is very big. So it's like that. We're just interested in the work to be done. We don't care whether the people are healthy or not. We don't care whether the people are benefiting in it or not. We don't care about anything. If they fall, take them away. Let's continue. It's just like all these people who are traveling to Libya. You see, they are moving to the desert. Somebody will hang and want to fall. They tell the driver to stop. Let this person enter well. Say no. If you stop, some people will come and hold them. So if the person fall, let him die there. Continue. Our aim is to get to where we are going. If half of the people die, they don't care. No, that is the disadvantage of this kind of leadership. It's just concerned about reaching our goal. So for this reason, they typically are able to make sure that deadlines are met, yet the group members really, really suffer. You are like a machine. Even machine, when you use it without considering how to maintain it, it can break down. So it has time when we can do that, while we bring in other style of leadership to balance it. Then the next one is relationship-oriented leadership style. This one is a contrast to the task-oriented one. In the relationship-oriented, what we are looking at mainly is the relationship amongst the group, and it is generally concerned about the well-being of every member of the group. We want everybody to be happy, everybody to be satisfied while we work. As we work, we take care of everyone. Okay, it's time for us to rest. Go take some time and rest. Yes, in as much as we want to meet the target, we don't need to kill ourselves. Let's have some rest. Jesus Christ told his disciples, come over to the other side and rest. All right. Okay, people are working. Okay, let's give them some bonus. Just let's give them this, some good things, make the people feel happy, the people feel excited, and they are working happy. I remember when I was in secondary school, when we want to cut the fields or the school farm, sometimes we also have an agricultural teacher whose own is just to make sure that the work is done. Hey, forcing. Everybody, great. Then we have a new one who, instead of doing that, he is interested in our being happy to do the work. Sometimes he will raise a special song, and then when he sing the song, everybody will be singing. He will be leading the song, and will be singing, and everybody is so happy, cutting the grass, and then after a while, it's okay. We have gotten some corn, we roast some of them, we sit down and we eat, and then everybody is so happy. In fact, you want to go to work the next day because everybody is happy. All right, so it is ensuring that there is trust, there is confidence, and then there's good communication within the group. However, if we are only interested in making everybody happy, some people might become so dull and become lackadaisical. The man is he's not too serious. I can even go anytime I like. Everybody's happy. Yeah. No, there is time for everything. Okay? So if we focus so much on relationship, we might allow the work will suffer. All right, but if we focus on the task alone, the people will suffer. So we must balance it so that both the people and the task does not suffer. Now, in point 3, which is our last point for today, how do we select the kind of leadership style that we will need to use? In the process of teaching, I have shown us the importance of doing that. A good leader often combines different leadership styles depending on the situation. Different situations call for the different leadership style. You don't just use one. There are times you may need the other one or the other one. In an emergency situation, when there's little time to come to an agreement, the leader can use what we call the autocratic style at that moment, and it's most effective. Now, in a highly motivated and aligned team with a homogeneous level of expertise, everybody understands what they know how to do, you can bring in the democratic or the laissez-faire style of what? Leadership. In a situation where the people, are a little bit lazy, you can bring in the transactional style, where you see, if I see the reward, I am ready to do my work very well just to get the reward. You bring it in. Anybody who is able to complete this task by 4 o'clock, you'll be getting this bonus, that bonus, that bonus, that bonus. All right? Peter asked Jesus Christ, we have left everything and followed you. What is our gain? And Jesus Christ began to list out. He said, okay, where shall we go? We are following you nowhere. We are not going back. We are following you. Anywhere you go, we will go. Now, for me to select a particular style of leadership, number 1, a leader must be aware of his or her own personality traits. That is, his characteristics, your personality, your kind of person. And know the kind of people that you are following you. If you know the kind of people that are following you and know the kind of person you are, it will help you to know the best kind of leadership style that is needed. Sometimes it depends on the kind of situation. The situation on the ground will determine the kind of thing you will, leadership style you will use. Now, a common mistake, especially among new leaders, they try to copy the way my pastor does in his church. That is the way I will do in my church. Maybe you are opening a new branch. You are in Nigeria, for example, and they post you to Botswana or to Ghana or to South Africa. You think that the same way your pastors the congregation in Nigeria, you will use the same method in Accra. It may not work. So you don't just copy and paste. You must understand the different terrain, the different society, the way they look at it, the way they behave. Some pastors who can preach powerful message in Africa, if you take them to America and they preach the same kind of message, it will make no meaning. Especially the prosperity kind of message. You know, if you believe in Jesus, you'll be rich. If you believe if you sow seed, you have this. If you can preach it there, they will tell you we're already having everything. There's something people you have in your congregation. The kind of leadership you are bringing should be different. If you are having market women, you know, local traders, that the main people in your church, your leadership style will be different from where you have professors, well-educated people, politicians. Now, when I say politicians, I don't mean local politicians. I mean groomed politicians. It's a different thing. Or you go to a church where all of them are whites. The way the whites behave and the way the blacks behave are different. The way the Yorubas behave and the way the Igbos behave are different. So if you have a church where all of them are Igbos, you have to understand how they do things so that you can adjust the kind of style we use for them. If you go to the people who are the Agans, everybody's a Gan. 90% of our church members are Gans. You have to know the way to lead them because they have their own way of doing things. You have a church where everybody is almost an Akan. You have to also, or Hausa, or Yoruba. So you don't use the same thing. So don't make the mistake of trying to just copy and paste. The next one is a leader will never be afraid of trying a new approach. If you want to select, make sure that you're not scared. Oh, this one may do like this. No. If it is time for you to delegate, feel free. Once you know that the person is qualified and you have coached the person very well, allow them to do their work and don't interfere so much. And you see the work will be done very, very well. I remember in those days, whenever I go to work somewhere, most of the people will eventually leave the work for me. The leaders will leave it. You know what to do, just do it. And then anything I do, they don't care. If I bring it, they just sign. Because they know that I can handle it. You see, that is when you have seen people who are working with you. There are people they understand the vision very well. They know what the work is all about. And you take care of them. They will do their work and you may even go to sleep and the work is going on. All right. So, while, you know all these things, it helps you to know which style you will use per time. Now, in conclusion, it is often said that good leaders are born and not made. But most times too, good leaders are made, not just born. You are born leader, good. You can also be trained. That you are born a leader doesn't mean just become a leader. You still have to learn how to do or utilize the traits that you came into this world with. A good leader are those who are aware of their personality traits and that of their followers. They know which leadership style to be adopted per time. And once it is done, they have little or no challenge in carrying out their work. They become what we call good or great leaders. So all we are talking about is that different styles of leadership. And each style, no one is bad and no one is perfect. So you learn how to bring in one style as at when it is needed, depending on your kind of person, depending on your personality, depending on the kind of people you are leading, depending on the kind of philosophy of life you have, depending on the kind of experience you also have. All these things come into play. There are all the dynamics that come into play when you want to choose the kind of leadership style that you need. You can also create your own leadership style. Think about it. All we have discussed this evening are leadership style that people have discovered. We have what they call the servant leaders. Servant leaders. Now, the servant leaders are those ones who, in the process of leading, they show example. They are not just leading in front, they participate in the work. They participate in the work. They don't send people for evangelism and stay at home. They go with them. Hallelujah. I remember in those days when we were going for evangelism in the church, all of us would dress, including myself that is leader. I would dress up like everybody. We don't even know who is the pastor and who are the church members. Everybody dress alike, carry our Bible, carry everything, and we enter into the town, and we are going for preaching. Somebody called one of my members, asked, "Is your pastor among?" He said, "That's our pastor there." But you will know, all of us just look alike, and everybody is there doing what they know how to do best. Those who are praying at home are there giving us backup through prayers. And those who don't know how to talk will share the tracks. Those who know how to talk will do the preaching. And at the end of the day, we get the result. So that is the important thing we have learned in this course. Please take your time and go to the material carefully. And you can read wide about this and get more information, especially those of you who are our regular students. God bless you for joining us tonight. And I trust that you have learned something. By next week, we'll be concluding this particular subject. And then some of you, those of you who are in the last batch of this training, will be completing their training. All right, so we are now about coming to an end. And so please make sure you go through everything you have learned for the past 10 to 12 months. And then I will give you an exam that will look at everything in a way, and then you'll be ready to graduate. For those of you who are just our passive students, I believe you have learned. You can always order for our materials, and we will always send them to you at a very minimal cost. God bless you. Before we go, we give an offering because CDI do not charge school fees. We depend on divine provision to bring our broadcast. So you can be a support to that. And that's why we give our offering. If you are ready, Father, we thank you for this opportunity to give. We pray that you accept our offering and let it be a blessing to this work in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. If you want to give and you don't know how, please, the number is there. Call. And then you can WhatsApp us, or you can send a voice note, whichever way, or we can direct you on how you can give to support the work. God bless you and good night.